Yeah, so we're actually doing a 14,000 meter program and just announced the first hole in it, and then announced some of the field work that was being done because Macoa is already a big porphyry. It's already over 600 million tons. It already contains over 4 billion pounds of copper. It's definitely one of the larger copper porphyries out there. But that is just the resource area, and this current drilling is an expansion on that.
All right, welcome back inside our proactive newsroom. And joining me now is Ian Harris. He is the CEO of Libero Copper. And Ian, it's good to see you. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Enjoying the weather here in Medellin, Colombia. Not trying to make anybody jealous, but it's a really beautiful day today.
Good stuff. Well, you've got some interesting news to talk about from there as well. But before we get to that, maybe just give everyone a bit of backstory on Libero Copper.
Yeah, and a little bit too about myself. I'm a mining engineer, and most of my years of almost 30 years now in mining, about 25 of those have been in Latin America. The reason I'm in Medellin, I'm fluent in Spanish, and previously started the construction of the Mirador project in Ecuador, which went on to be the first industrial scale mine in the history of Ecuador, and is currently growing to be one of the top 20 largest copper mines in the world. And I like sharing that because it's important in context of why I came over to Libero and why the Macoa project was so compelling. Because it is in the same Jurassic copper belt. It is a large copper porphyry, and at the time wasn't advancing, right? And knew that there were certain qualities that projects needed in order to move them forward and get them onto a good foundation. And I actually spent several years working away with it, building the relationships locally, and the political will to drive it and move it forward. So that's a little bit of the backdrop. It's a big copper porphyry. There's so few of them that are, especially ones like Macoa, that are near surface. And that's kind of the elevator start pitch.
Yeah, I get it. I know that we'll talk about drilling in a second, but I know you recently announced some results from, in essence, a field program, rock sampling, all that kind of stuff, and really strong numbers that you're seeing already after that, relatively small exploration program.
Yeah, so we're actually doing a 14,000 meter program and just announced the first hole in it, and then announced some of the field work that was being done because Macoa is already a big porphyry. It's already over 600 million tons. It already contains over 4 billion pounds of copper. It's definitely one of the larger copper porphyries out there. But that is just the resource area, and this current drilling is an expansion on that. We can get to that piece, but really this most recent program redemonstrates that we might just be holding the tail of an elephant, as my geo says. We're just looking at the tip of the iceberg. That these Jurassic porphyries have a tendency to be in a cluster style and have multiple centers, and even we have multiple targets. But even between those targets, we're seeing good geochemistry results on the back of geophysics has been done in the past that show that this thing could continue to become much, much larger.
Yeah. So tell me a bit about the drilling itself. You mentioned it's a sizable program, and you've completed about 1,000 meters of it.
That's correct. So that is just one hole, and I think maybe I missed the mark a little bit because when we announced that hole, we announced the 1,141 meters, if I remember correctly, of hole, right? And that's the whole hole, right? And it averaged a 0.46 copper equivalent. And I guess many people are used to seeing intersections or something, but that is the entire hole. We had mineralization from the top to the bottom of the hole, and that was the average grade of that hole, which really helps demonstrate the size and scale of this porphyry. This hole, which went directly to the north, it was a slight offset from some of the previous drilling. And I call it a backbone hole because a lot of our expansion was going to the north. We're currently on the next hole, which is going more to the south-southwest, because the other part, which was kind of a long-term goal but happened quicker, was redefining or properly defining the forestry reserve to the west. Well, it moved further west, which opened up the western side even more of the project, where we also saw uh, expansion potential. And again, this is all around the resource. And the idea is that you can, you know, reduce your risk of that further expansion, because our bigger goal is getting to a much, you know, getting over that billion-ton mark, because it puts it in a very elusive category that there's so few copper porphyries of this size and scale, like Makoa.
Yeah. Lastly, and just about sort of the year ahead, obviously you're continuing to drill here, which is the important part of all of this. But will this take you several months to finish what you want to get done, and then sort of and then look at potentially updating things then?
Yeah. So my number one goal, let's just pretend market continues to go somewhat sideways. So number one, I see a lot of value can be created just getting that attention back on the project. We see a bifurcation in valuations between projects that aren't moving forward and those that are moving forward, especially the quality of Makoa, and get that valuation going, and doing it through drill hole results. If things go sideways, it could take us an entire year to finish that 14,000 meter program, with the idea of doing a resource estimate, getting over some of those key hurdles, and demonstrating again, checking yet another box on the project. But I'm hoping that we can gain some growth off of those catalysts and be able to accelerate that project, because it's the type of project, even though 14,000 meters is 50% additional drilling than on this project than has ever been done, and it already has 600 million tons. I mean, the math is pretty straightforward. It really deserves a lot more, and testing some of the other areas around it, we'd like to be able to expand this program, and with a little wind on our sails, I know that we'll be able to do that.
Wow, it sounds pretty exciting for sure. Ian, thanks so much. Great to catch up with you and see what you're up to. Congratulations on the first hole. We look forward to following the story. Okay.
Yeah, and I think just one thing that I have to
Yeah.
add is, for the long time I talked about my personal experience. We have experience on the board where I have some of the few people that have actually seen these things across the finish line. It's an amazing asset, but really something that came together at the beginning of the year was the sponsorship of Frank Giustra, and coming in and now becoming part of the Fiore group, which I call it the third leg that was really required, which also helps keep the project advancing, and getting it to where it is today. So I think we have everything is aligning. The program is finally moving forward, and we'll be able to take advantage of all the work that's been done to date on the project.
Exciting times. Ian, thank you again.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure to be here and giving you guys an update.
Good stuff. There's Ian Harris, the CEO of Libero Copper.